Forget what you think you know about overpowered anime characters. This guy is built different. He's not just strong, he's a conceptual level problem. A god-tier sorcerer so broken. You might ask who this monster is? Well, it's Ryomen Sukuna. Sukuna is known as one of the most charismatic and interesting characters in the anime world. For me, Sukuna is also one of the most iconic villains out there. From his savage and superior personality, among other traits, he easily earns the viewer's popularity and interest. Sukuna was introduced as the King of Curses. According to legend, he was said to be an imaginary demon or god. But in truth, 1,000 years ago, Sukuna was actually a human. More like a human sorcerer rather than a cursed spirit. And during the golden age of Jujutsu, the sorcerers of that era gathered together to fight him. Yet all of them failed and were defeated at Sukuna's hands. To understand why he's basically the final boss of the Jujutsu world, we need to break down his entire arsenal. So in this video, we're going to discuss every insane ability at his fingertips, literally. But before we continue, make sure you're subscribed to the channel for more content like this. Let's begin starting with his signature move, the one that turns people into deli slices, cleave and dismantle. Think of his abilities like his own personal kitchen setup, because his domain is literally a shrine. The name of this technique confirms an already supported theory that Sukuna's shrine is indeed a kitchen. Reading the kanji for shrine helps confirm this. And because maybe this guy loves to cook his enemies in the most brutal ways possible, I guess. First on the menu is his basic go-to move is Dismantle. This is his standard long-range slash. It's invisible, flies through the air, and just cuts whatever is in its way until it runs out of energy. It's great for slicing up buildings or people who aren't especially tough. But why can't superpowered eyes like Gojo see it coming? Well, imagine trying to see gravity with a microscope. You can't, because it's not a tangible thing you can observe. It's just a force that does its job. Dismantle works on a similar principle. It's an effect without a flashy trail. Then he has the big one, the world-splitting Dismantle. This isn't just a stronger slash, it's a complete cheat. Instead of cutting you, it targets the very space you're occupying and slices that. If the space gets cut, you get cut too, no matter how tough you are or what kind of energy armor you're wearing. This allows it to bypass everything from cursed energy reinforcement to cursed techniques to any other conventional defense. The trade-off? It can only make a single clean cut. No fancy nets or arrays, and Sukuna locked it behind a ritual. To use it, he performed the Enmaten hand seal before launching it. However, in order to hit Gojo instantly without warning, he needs to chant Scale of the Dragon. Recoil twin meteors. His fingers the direction in which the slash should fly. For close quarters, there's Cleave. This one activates on touch. The moment Sukuna lays a hand on you, it automatically sizes up your durability and cursed energy level, then adjusts itself to cut you down in one clean shot. It's his guaranteed finisher, though it can struggle if his power is low or your defenses are through the roof. He even has a version called Spider's Thread that he used once to shred a large area of ground into a web of cuts. And finally, there's the Furnace. This is where he really turns up the heat. He creates a small flame between his hands that he can launch as a massive fire arrow. The power is insane, easily stronger than Jogo's volcanic attacks. The catch? A binding vow means he can only use it against one person at a time outside his domain. And it's not the fastest technique. It's his signature move for a dramatic one-on-one fight. The fact it's called Furnace just confirms it. Sukuna's whole vibe is that of a chef cooking everyone. When it comes to reverse curse technique, Sukuna operates on a different level. It's not a special power, just insane skill. He multiplies negative cursed energy to create positive energy, which heals flesh. His mastery goes beyond just patching himself up. He can perform external RCT, using someone else's cursed energy to heal a different body entirely, as he did with Megumi, though in this case it was strong enough to recover his body from fatal wounds, meaning it is vastly superior to Shoko's in output and effectiveness. Most impressively, he can deliberately destroy and then instantly heal the part of his brain that stores his techniques. This high-risk reset lets him bypass the burnout after using his domain expansion. A truly unhinged move. Gojo and Sukuna's brain suffered damage from the overuse of their domains and reverse cursed technique. Sukuna is able to cast an incomplete malevolent shrine using an undamaged part of his brain to manifest the technique. This demonstrates his ability to sacrifice one part of his brain and then use another part to execute his cursed technique. Next, Sukuna's domain expansion, which is called Malevolent Shrine. This thing is a technical masterpiece that breaks all the established rules. Most domains create a separate, sealed-off space with a barrier. Sukuna's is different. He slaps his shrine directly onto reality itself, using a barrier that's so minimal it might as well not be there. The result? His guaranteed hit effect isn't confined to a bubble. It exists out in the open world. This is why its range is so absurdly massive. Inside the shrine, it's a brutal, automated slaughterhouse. The two techniques, cleave and dismantle, work in tandem. Anything with cursed energy gets meticulously sliced apart by cleave, which adjusts its power to ensure a clean kill. Everything else, buildings, cars, regular people, is relentlessly shredded by a storm of dismantle until it's nothing but dust. It's a perfectly efficient system, though if Sukuna's power output is low enough, someone incredibly tough and with rapid healing could potentially survive the onslaught. Now here's the secret final step most people never see: the furnace. After the slashes have done their job and reduced everything to fine particulate matter, the real show begins. Sukuna can activate the furnace, igniting that cloud of dust. This isn't just a big fire, it's a thermobaric explosion where the dust particles themselves become the fuel, setting off a chain reaction that scorches everything left in the domain to ash. It's the ultimate cleanup tool. He didn't use it on Gojo because his domain couldn't create the right conditions. Gojo was too tough to be turned to dust quickly, making the 10 Shadows a better choice. After his fight with Gojo, Sukuna's domain was broken. The part of his brain that handles barriers was fried. By landing black flashes, he essentially forced his brain to rewire itself, creating a new janky neural pathway to power his domain, like driving off the highway and through a ditch to get around a wreck. This malfunctioning shrine is unstable and can only last for about 99 seconds. It also looks grotesque and, crucially, now has a barrier at its edge that traps people inside. This sacrificed the immense range he had in Shibuya from his binding vow, allowing escape, but ensured his current enemies couldn't just run away. To get around an absolute defense like Gojo's Infinity, Sukuna uses a brilliant workaround called domain amplification. Think of it like this: he wraps himself in the empty, hollow shell of a domain without putting any of his own techniques inside it. This creates a void that actively soaks up and neutralizes any opposing curse technique that makes contact, effectively canceling it out. The trade-off is that while using this shield, he can't use his own engraved techniques like cleave or dismantle. However, Sukuna being Sukuna, he found a loophole. If he activates his actual domain expansion, which does have a technique imbued, he can use domain amplification at the same time, essentially cheating the system. He also demonstrated an even more advanced level of control during his fight with Gojo. While he was personally bearing the burden of adapting to Gojo's techniques via Maharaga's wheel, he could pause the adaptation process whenever he activated domain amplification and then resume it once the shield dropped. This allowed him to strategically manage the adaptation without losing progress. Next is Hollow Wicker Basket, a predecessor to New Shadow Style's simple domain that spreads out a woven hollow sphere which interferes with the domain's barrier and prevents the sure hit effect from landing. It is largely inferior to simple domain, but despite being a genius sorcerer capable of learning new techniques by observation, Sukuna uses the older Hollow Wicker Basket instead of the more modern simple domain. This is likely because he is most familiar with his own Heian-era Jujutsu, and because his forearms mitigate Hollow Wicker Basket's main drawback of requiring both hands. Kuna used Hollow Wicker Basket against Yuta Okotsu's Authentic Mutual Love and Yuji Itadori's Domain Expansion to neutralize their sure-hit attacks. When Sukuna took over Megumi's body, he didn't just use the 10 Shadows technique, he completely rewrote the playbook. His most clever trick is partial summons. Instead of fully manifesting a Shikigami, he summons it incompletely, often onto his own body, to borrow its attributes. This lets him use a rush of fluid divine dogs like a wave or fire a high-pressure water blast mimicking piercing blood from Max Elephant's trunk. He used this method masterfully with Mahoraga. Instead of letting the Shikigami itself take the hits to adapt, Sukuna would bear the burden of his opponent's attack. Like Gojo's Unlimited Void, personally, the adaptation wheel would appear above his head, and once the process was complete, he'd pass the fully adapted technique to Mahoraga to execute. This prevented Mahoraga from being destroyed before it could finish adapting, making the whole process far more efficient. He also created Fusion Beast, Agito, an insane combo of Nue, the Great Serpent, the Round Deer, and the Tiger Funeral. This gave him a Shikigami that could fly, strike with electricity, regenerate itself and others, and attack with serpentine appendages. While it paled in comparison to Mahoraga, it was likely a pinnacle of what Megumi could have achieved himself, showcasing the untapped potential Sukuna unlocked through brutal experimentation. So that's Sukuna, unmatched raw power, ruthless and cunning. What ability surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, hit subscribe and ring the bell for more content. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.